Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Further Beyond Gaming. My name is Cody GT, and in today's video we're continuing the series, moving on over to the canon category. So in today's video we're going to take a look at the canons, and we're going to see which ones you should be going for, or which ones you should be prioritizing, or which one you should be having on your account. Either way you want to look at it, that's what we're going to be doing in today's video. So I do hope you enjoy what you see today. If you do, go ahead and drop a like. It does help out the channel tremendously, so I do appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel, you like what you saw today, go ahead and consider subscribing. But with that being said, let's go ahead. We're going to jump straight into it because I know these videos have been a bit lengthy and I don't like to make them too long. So we're not going to waste too much time. Now with the canon category, it was a little bit more difficult for this one because, to be quite honest with you, there's not too many really good canons out there that you should really be prioritizing in particular. So it's a little bit difficult. Now the first one I did want to go ahead and mention and get out of the way right off the bat was the Key of Reason. Now this is a great weapon, especially if you have Cyber Angel Bronya. This is going to be really good for her because it does have an equip bonus, but it also does some good ice elemental damage and just great damage overall as a multiplier and things of that nature. So it's a really good weapon. You could throw this on your Snowy Sniper if you wanted to, but this is really particular to Cyber Angel Bronya, and one that I would highly recommend trying to obtain if you do have her, because it really helps her out a lot. Makes her a she is a fantastic damage dealer already, don't get me wrong, but this really does make her an extremely good Valkyrie with this weapon equipped to her. So this is one that I just wanted to get out of the way really quickly, just because I felt it was obvious, especially if you had Cyber Angel Bronya. The Key of Reason, definitely one that you want to go for sure. Now the next canon I did want to speak about, just because it did recently get a pre-arms, is this one right here, the PRI. Now the reason why I did want to speak about this one is because, like I mentioned, it is getting a pre-arms in version 3.9, and it actually seems to be a pretty good one. It looks like it does some good support, and I do apologize, I don't know all the ins and outs of that pre-arms specifically, but it does look like it has great support. Will be capable of supporting the team and other Valkyries. Looks like it does some unique stuff itself, where it switches from laser to missiles and whatnot. So that looks pretty interesting also. So a really cool and interesting weapon. This one was, pretty decent in its own right, just as PRI, without it being pre-armed. Having a trap field and a pretty good passive there. But it just was never really all that viable in my opinion. Didn't do a whole lot of damage. Really was just a good support weapon to be able to help out your other Valkyries on the team. So this one I did want to mention because you may want to try and obtain it to then go ahead and forge it in version 3.9. So that might be something that you may be trying to do for future reference, and at least get it ready to go. So that's another one that I did want to go ahead and mention, that you might want to just go ahead and throw on your account, start getting it ready, so that way you can maybe forge it when version 3.9 comes out. Now the next one that I did want to go ahead and discuss is actually one that is pre-armed already, if we go to the 6-star here, and that is the Star Destroyer 19CX. This was the applicable weapon, or still is, for your Black Nucleus, and this one is actually a really good weapon. It can be used on different Bronyas, so keep that in mind as well. It's pretty versatile. It does some really good damage, especially physical damage. The crit rate increases as well, so that's really good, and the weapon active has a cooldown shortened, so that's awesome as well. As you can see here, more crit damage, so that's really good, and it has more total damage. So this is just a really good physical damage dealing weapon right here that you can put on your physical damage dealing Bronyas. Really will help out a lot, and you'll be able to output some serious damage with this weapon equipped to your Bronya. So this is one that I would look into, seeing if you can go ahead and get that pre-armed as well, if you're really into your Bronyas and you want to max them out as possible. So good for your Black Nucleus. And this will be the weapon that you would obtain first. This one was pretty good. As you can see, it does some good damage, has some good fire damage on it, but I would definitely recommend, if you're really focusing on it, to get it pre-arms, because that pre-armed Star Destroyer 19CX is really, I would say, head and shoulders above the original 19C. So that's one that I would prioritize over that one. Now, the next one I did want to go ahead and talk about, just because it was really relevant back in the day, and I do hope that eventually here soon it will get a pre-arms itself, and that is the 5th Sacred Relic. So the 5th Sacred Relic back in the day was a really good cannon, and I would say even still to this day is a really good cannon, just because there hasn't been that many good cannons to come out, to be quite honest with you. So this one still holds its own and was really good on Snowy Sniper. Great compliment to that Valkyrie in particular. As you can see, it has a pretty decent physical damage multiplier at 12%, and then another one at 22%, where you have little bomblets that fly out and is able to do some damage. So if you're around mobs of enemies, this is really good, especially in Abyss back in the day. This was a really good weapon to have. You equip it to your Snowy Sniper and was able to do some really good damage. But the great thing about the 5th Sacred Relic is that it is versatile, excuse me, and you can equip it on any Bronya, to be quite honest with you, and it would do really well, just because it's just a physical damage dealing cannon. Nothing really else to it, and it's good for mobs if you are in that type of mode where you're facing a lot of enemies. So the 5th Sacred Relic, really good, but I do hope it does get a pre-arm here soon, because I think it deserves one. It does some good stuff, but there's more that it could do, especially what we have now with the pre-arms, how they have paragraphs of things that they have going on. I think the 5th Sacred Relic is a prime candidate to go ahead and get that pre-arms, so that would be awesome if it does eventually. Now, moving on from there, the next one that I did want to speak about is the Star of Eden, just because it is a free-to-play weapon that you can go ahead and obtain, and I do always recommend going for these weapons and obtaining them and trying to get them maxed out, because they are really good, especially if you spend the resources behind them. So in this one, you do have a chance to stun, which is really good. That is a great little unique skill right there for this cannon. It does some great physical damage as well, so it's versatile. Once again, you could put it on a lot of different Bronyas, and then in co-op you do gain 20% crit damage and 3% crit rate. That's really awesome for your co-op modes as well. So the Star of Eden, I did want to go ahead and mention that because of its versatility, and because it's great free-to-play weapon that you can farm up fairly easily. So that is another one that I wanted to mention right there. Now, the next one that I wanted to speak about is the Hand of Tyr. Now, the Hand of Tyr is a weapon that I've been trying to obtain for quite some time, and I just have not been able to get my hands on this weapon, especially early Honkai. This was it still is a great cannon, but back then it was one of the cannons that you wanted to try and obtain, just like the 5th Sacred Relic, because of what it can do. So on its basic and charge attacks, you have 18% physical damage to enemies with broken shield, which was pretty good. You're able to do more damage to them, and then you have another 143 physical damage every half second if you do the weapon skill. So this one was a pretty good one. I believe this is another prime candidate for a pre-arms. A lot of the cannons, I feel like they could be pre-armed, and so I'm glad they're starting to do that. But this one, I believe, is a great one to go ahead and pre-arm. This will be a good one to maybe obtain now. It's decent. It's not doing a whole lot. Great against enemies whose shield is broken, but other than that, it may be one that I might prioritize a little bit further down on the list. Like I mentioned, back in the day, it was really good. Nowadays, it's pretty decent. Nothing to write home about. Now, the next one that I wanted to speak about was the Flint Sonata. This is one that I actually have equipped on my Black Nucleus, and this one is a really good weapon on her, just because of the fire damage and the AoE fire damage that it provides, as well as you gain 100% attack speed for 8 seconds. So this is a really good weapon. Again, I believe this one deserves a pre-arm, just because it's not doing a whole lot anymore. It's not really all that viable. It does really good damage, especially if you're extremely close to the enemy, and then that 100% attack speed is really great, because then you can fire off shots after shots. But be quite honest with you, it doesn't really hold up anymore. I would go with the pre-arm of the Star Destroyer 19CX now over this one. It's decent. Like, these cannons they're okay, but nowadays they just don't really hold up all that much anymore. And so I'm glad that these are getting pre-arms, because they really do need it, to be quite honest with you. They really do. Now, the next one I did want to go ahead and speak about is the Book of Fuchs II. So the Book of Fuchs II is pretty interesting. I think it's a great weapon. It does a whole lot, as you can see, but it's just kind of niche in a sense. So if we take a look at it, against ignited, impaired, slowed, or frozen enemies, you gain 13.6% total damage multiplier. I mean, that's great. You just have to have that going off for you first before you get that damage multiplier. So that's what I mean by a little niche. Now it can transform between 3 elemental forms, which is pretty cool: fire, lightning, and ice, and set elements to destroy the enemy. So fire, you do 272 fire damage. Lightning, there's a explosive lightning orb. Hits have a 11% chance of dealing additional 150% attack of lightning damage. That's a pretty low chance of getting that off, but it is what it is. And then you can impair them, reducing their defense by 60%, which is pretty cool, because then you can go ahead, as you can see, when you have one of these going for you, you can then take advantage of the multiplier here. But as you can see with the lightning, it's a low chance. And for the fire, that's just going to happen, so that's pretty good. You probably wouldn't want the fire to go off. And then the ice, you will slow the move speed and attack speed of the enemy by 50%, and have a 1.2%, chance to freeze the enemy for 3 seconds. So again, that's a low chance. So the one you would want to go for is the fire, so then you can get the total damage multiplier. So this is a very niche cannon. I like the look of it. I think it's an awesome looking cannon. I think it's very unique and niche though, so this is one that I might prioritize a little bit lower. Maybe just one to have on your account because it's pretty cool. Once again, I think if this one gets a pre-arm, there's a lot of cool things that they can do with it. Maybe increase those multipliers, or increase the chance of getting those things off. Because to be quite honest with you, 11% and 1.2%, that's a very low chance to get those off. Or being able to select which one you use, I think that would be a pretty cool, unique change to that cannon. So that would be awesome as well. But to be quite honest with you, those are the ones that I would recommend going for, or those are the ones that I would look at trying to obtain, kind of in that order, to be quite honest with you, the way I did it. Like I mentioned, the cannons are just a little bit unique. A little bit different. They're not all that great. If you have the lasers are not great at all. That's why I really didn't mention any. The Quantum Destroyer is a good honorable mention, just because of its weapon skill is a pretty good one, to be quite honest with you. It just doesn't do enough damage, so it's really not all that great. You would definitely want to pop the weapon skill and then switch out to another Valkyrie to be able to do the damage. So, you know, a lot of these are just good supports for... Oh, I hit that button again. I didn't mean to hit that button again. A lot of these are good supports for other Valkyries, good support for your team. But those are the ones that I would recommend. So, of course, in the comments down below, let me know which ones you guys would recommend. Let me know which ones you guys would, you know, prioritize over the other. But I do hope you enjoyed the videos. You guys have absolutely been killing it lately with your support for these videos. I love making these videos. They're fantastic. So I'm glad you guys have been enjoying them as well. But with that being said, I am going to get out of here. Remember to stand out, be different, have fun, go further beyond in everything that you do. And until next time, my boys, until next time, it's your homie Cody GT, and I'm out.